Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm the Takanome, and welcome to my humble slices of the internet that are my Twitch and YouTube channel. This is the reading stream. How is everyone doing today? Hope that you're having a good day today, maybe even a good week. And if that has not been the case for you, well, maybe this reading stream could be a bit of a bright spot to your day. Today, we are going to continue reading the book Clockwork Twist, Book 11, Faith by Emily Thompson. Now, for those who may not know who our author is, allow me the opportunity to, read their bio to you. So, the author. Emily Thompson is a non-binary author and artist originally from Northern California. Although they adore steampunk and all things Victoriana, they also write science fiction and fantasy. After studying film and animation in university, Emily changed to a Japanese language focus and studied in Tokyo. After receiving a language degree and spending a number of years abroad, they now live in Washington and spend most of their free time writing in coffee shops, painting, crocheting plushies, coding, and playing lots of cozy video games. And that is our author for the evening. Speaking of, hello, Erudite. Welcome to the reading stream. I see that you are here in spirit. Well, I would say this is the wrong season to use the ghost emote, but actually, this is the perfect season if we're going with the Christmas Carol. I've mentioned on my Blue Sky notification, and I'm going to mention it here, that tonight is going to be a shorter reading stream than normal. Also, one of our cats, Momo, is in the room with me. She is surprisingly calm about the door being closed with it, which is a rather new development in her behavior, but there is a possibility that we will have to pause the reading stream so that she can go out into the rest of the apartment and explore and be a cat. Nevertheless, this reading stream will be a little shorter than normal, and truth of the matter is, I am still recovering from a cold or sickness or whatever you may call it from a couple days ago. I want to maximize how much rest I should say, how much rest I can have before, I start work again Monday. So normally we will go for about an hour and 30 minutes. Today, we may just go for an hour. Nevertheless, we intend to have fun here on the reading stream, so that is what we're going to do. We have bottle of water, which I may take a sip of soon. Also have our nice tea, our nice cup of tea, just dunking in the tea bag here, making sure it really seeps in there, although it is very hot. News for the channel. Well, actually, today is the first Saturday that we are completely on the Taka Reads channels. So on Twitch and YouTube, first, again, hello, and welcome to the new YouTube and Twitch channels. The old channels, the Takanome channels, well, I still do not know what I'm going to do with those channels. Obviously, for the YouTube one, I am not removing any of the old streams that are on there. I will keep them up there. But from now on, the reading stream will be on these two channels. I see Wayward Bard is on lurk. At work, audio muted, but wanted to lurk for the homies. Well, since you are on mute, allow me to type this. Hello, Wayward. Well, I have to spell it correctly. Wayward Bard. And thank you. There we are. So, that's right. This is going to be a shorter reading stream because I am still taking time to recover from whatever I picked up 2 days ago. But there is more news, actually. Now, this news does not necessarily pertain to the reading stream, but it is reading stream adjacent because I have read my stories on the reading stream before, a couple times, not often, but I have done it before. Some of you may remember that I wrote a book. I wrote a book almost 10 years ago. It was published about 4, 5 years, almost 5 years ago, actually. And I was working on a sequel, a second book to the first one. Well, I have come to a very sad realization. I do not believe the second book will be published anytime soon. And here's why. The second book, even though it is complete as far as the story goes, it still needs some editing. There's some heavy editing, some big edits that need to still happen in the book. Edits that I have a very difficult time to do on my own. And the person who helps me with my edits, well, is Miss Taka because she's the, professional author here. But as you know, Miss Taka is a professional author, and she is doing very well in her writings herself. So that leaves me in a little bit of a predicament here. So, with that, and with the way, well, general life has been this year and so forth, it has been very difficult to sit down and go through the story and do the edits that it needs for it to be, well, really, really good. Right now, I believe it is very good, but I don't think it's really, really good. So, this is what I would like to do going forward with that. I have been thinking of ways of how can I share the stories that I come up with. And to be honest, for a good chunk of the year, I thought I had a couple ideas, but it's a little hard to do. It's a little hard to maintain. And I want to find a way to share book 2 of the Corrupted Genes series with people. The Foreigners is the actual book title, but the series is Corrupted Genes. So, what I am thinking is maybe, just maybe, I start an account on Wattpad. And on Wattpad, I slowly release the unedited version of the book. So that way I can share, well, one, prove that I did write a story, it is written, and two, have a way to share it with people because I know there were people who are looking forward to seeing what happened in book 2 and they've been waiting for a long time. Additionally, I also want to share some of the writings that I have been doing for the past year or so. I have mentioned to a couple people that in addition to The Foreigners that I've been working on, I've also been writing other things. I've been writing a lot of short stories, and I started another series as well. Well, maybe not series, but a collection of stories that all fits within one book. So, that is the train of thought I have. Again, I do want to share my stories with people. I like my writing. Granted, my writing could be a little dark, but it is the type of writer I am. Erudai wrote, remind me later to get you in touch with my editor. She's awesome and not too expensive. I will take you up on that. I just need to make sure that, well, your editor is, well, make sure that she is okay with the type of writing that I write. We shall see. As far as other news goes, I believe still we have 2 more Saturdays left in this year. Oh my. And for both Saturdays, we should have the reading stream, so it should be okay. And I'm noticing that I'm looking at OBS here. It is dropping frames, and I do not know why. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a very short break. I'm going to restart OBS, but let's see if we can stop it from dropping so many frames. One moment. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, and it looks like everything is back. That was unsettling. Apologies, everyone, that we had to cut off the reading stream temporarily, but I restarted the broadcasting system, and it seems as if it is now behaving itself. I believe the program wanted to try to update itself, or maybe ran some sort of program in the background to check if there was an update available, because now it wants me to update. But I will do that another time. As I was saying earlier, there are 2 Saturdays left in the reading in this year for the reading stream. So we should have the reading stream, if everything is permitted, for the rest of the year. And of course, next year we will, well, of course, we'll have the reading stream as well. Additionally, and I promise we'll get to the story very soon because we don't have a lot of time tonight, I still am thinking of having maybe once every 2 to 3 months of something of a open mic, if you will, an open submission. So if you happen to be a writer or an author and you want to submit a short story, we will have a night where we do only submissions of short stories. And I see Black Rose is lurking. Hello. I meant to send you a message on Discord, but I will do that soon. I just basically want to see how you're doing. But I believe that is all of the news I have. Oh, when I finally do have a way to share stories that I've written, then I will let everyone know about the websites where you can find it. And at some point, fingers crossed, I will even upload to the YouTube channel readings of those stories. But I believe we are about ready to go here. Black Rose wrote, I'm typing up a report, but I'm here listening to you. Thank you very much. And I've said this before, and I will continue to say it until, well, not until I'm blue in the face because I like breathing, but I will continue to say this. Thank you all for supporting these channels, whether you are here live or you're listening to the VOD, if you're an active listener or passive listener, if you are a subscriber, a follower. Well, can't subscribe yet because we don't actually meet the Twitch requirements for that. But nevertheless, I appreciate all the support that you guys give this channel. Once again, this is Clockwork Twist, Book 11, Faith by Emily Thompson. A recap of the series and the story so far goes as follows. For most of his life, Twist has been alone. Orphaned as a baby, he would eventually repair clocks in a quiet, cozy shop in London. Thanks to his sight, his supernatural ability, he could repair just about anything simply by touching it to find what is broken. Unfortunately, this worked with people, thus making it virtually impossible for him to make physical contact with others. His life changed when a young woman requested his help to mend the mythical Clockwork Princess. Since then, he has discovered new worlds and made powerful friends and allies along the way. With his sky pirate friend Jonas and his wonderful clockwork fiancée Mira by his side, the world is a little easier to manage. It is not all fun and games, though. Dangerous and ancient forces wish to see his demise and will do anything to make it come true. Through the use of spells and wit, Twist and his friends have managed to avoid their grim fates. Until now. Now in New York City, Twist and his friends met an old friend in the worst of circumstances. Vane, the Kitsune samurai, has narrowly escaped three satyrs hunting him down with the help of a second, older Kitsune, Rafe. Twist and his friends have offered the fox spirits refuge on board their ship. They're safe for now, but the Fae are relentless. And with that, we're going to start our reading for tonight. We are on page 92. Let's begin. The Icarus set off again at nearly 2 in the morning by New York time, while the stars still shone in the clear black sky. Jonas set the airship's helm locked in the general direction of the flying village, still more than halfway across the continent, and Twist let the engines run at full speed. According to Jonas's best guess, they might reach their destination in less than 10 hours, at their best speed. It had taken no more than a simple request from Tasha to gather a few more silver fairy invisibility charms from the rooks at Hudson's, and both Vane and Rafe each wore one now. Pamut had mentioned that he'd be happy to enchant the charms as well, but when the question of whose blood would be used for the spells to enchant a charm to its best strength, the spell needed the blood of the person who loved the charm carrier more than any other. Jonas had turned for the bridge to attend to departure. Pupmud also said that with these simple unenchanted charms, any listening Fae might be able to hear the voices outside of the Icarus, but no Fae could see them. And aboard the Icarus, with all of its warding, they would be perfectly safe in both the waking world and their dreams. Vane and Rafe seemed happy enough with this arrangement, so it was left at that. Twist still felt the same nagging tightness in the buzzing at his neck as he climbed up the stairs to join Jonas on the upper bridge. Twist, could I ask you a favor? Jonas asked, looking to him with dull, mossy green eyes and a serious expression. Twist paused in surprise for only an instant. Of course, old boy. Whatever you need. Jonas smiled back at him, his eyes taking on a brighter green hue. Come have a drink with me. Let's play a game of cards or something and not talk about anything vital for a few precious minutes. You had me worried for a moment there. I thought you were going to ask for something difficult. What sort of difficult thing did you think I'd ask for? Jonas asked back. Perhaps my opinion or thoughts on any of the horror surrounding us, Twist answered with a shrug. Or worse yet, what I think of this new version of Vane staying with us indefinitely. Yes, let's not talk about that at all, Jonas said, seeming very serious indeed, though his mirth was not totally hidden. Twist followed him out of the bridge, happy to be bound for an activity that seemed quite relaxing after all that had happened. Out on the glass covered deck, sitting in the soft glow of a candle beside them, they found Tasha and Nico chatting Rafe as they sat together on the newest crates of supplies. Curled up on Rafe's lap was a small black fox with two white tipped fluffy black tails. Vane seemed to be napping peacefully, while Rafe petted absently at his fur and talked with Tasha and Nico. Everything all right? Tasha asked Twist and Jonas as they passed. We're on our way to the village, Jonas confirmed, stopping to reply. We should get there an hour or two after daybreak. Is he doing all right? Twist asked, nodding to Vane's fox-shaped form. Yes, much better, yes, Rafe answered, scratching at Vane's ear. The sleepy fox in his lap gave a happy little sound and moved to the touch without opening his ears. He's not so cold anymore. He's just tired after all of the excitement. Good, good, Twist muttered, wondering idly what it might really be like to be able to turn oneself into a small, furry woodland creature at will. Fur or no fur, the idea of being petted rather made Twist's skin crawl. Well, business to attend to, Jonas said, putting a hand on Twist's shoulder to push him forward. Good morning, he offered to the others with a nod. They replied in kind and turned back to their own conversation, while Twist and Jonas made their way to the crew cabins. Twist chuckled as they stepped into the hallway and turned toward Jonas's cabin. Business, is it? He asked, following Jonas into his cabin. Very important business, Jonas answered, already opening the trunk that rested against one wall. And shut that door before anyone else sees us and comes talk. Twist did as he was told, and then helped himself to a seat on a cushion at the low table in the middle of Jonas's cabin. But I thought we were going to drink and play cards at 2 in the morning, on our way to battle, he added with a frown. Drinking and playing cards are very serious business, Jonas assured him, sitting down after he placed a bottle of rum, a pair of small glasses, and a pack of cards on the table. He filled a glass with clear white rum and handed it to Twist. If we don't strive to retain our sanity, we just go mad as the world around us. I suppose someone around here ought to keep his head, Twist agreed with a shrug. Jonas smiled and raised his own filled glass. To sanity, to sanity, Twist echoed, raising his glass as well. He suppressed his chuckle as he took a sip and did his best to banish all thoughts of fairy assassins, oppressed villagers, and confusing magical foxes. He knew Jonas well enough to see the signs of depression and overwrought frustration in this request to play cards. In times of trouble, Jonas's instincts always led him to deflection and distraction. But unlike Twist, Jonas always sought company in his escapes. Twist was pleased to see that, even with all of the friends on board today, Jonas still asked Twist to join him first. They decided on an easy game and began to chat freely about whatever nonsense popped into their heads. They never kept score of the game, but loudly proclaimed each victory and whined about each defeat as if it mattered anyway. By the time Twist began to feel a bit tipsy from the rum, they both lost track of the game, their cards all but forgotten on the table before them, and their conversation had turned to reminiscing over old adventures. And then, Jonas went on, half laughing as he did, the bloody magpies did steal Mira and Idris and Jeffrey too, right away from us, and Mira went and saved herself. Do we really even need to go all the way to Paris to ask Philippe's uncle for help at all? You know, now that I think of it, Twist agreed, astonished by the thought. If they tried to take Mira all the way back to Bombay, like in Bombay, she likely would have saved herself all the sooner. I don't think we actually did have to go through any of that. Good old Mira, Jonas said, grinning as he refilled his glass. She plays a good damsel in distress, but let's be honest, she saves herself more often than anyone else does. She saves the rest of us a fair amount of time. As well, Twist added. But don't tell her that, Jonas said, pointing at Twist. She'll deny it till the end of the world if it means getting to swoon over your heroics. My heroics? Twist laughed, shaking his head. Someday, I'd rather like to know what the devil she really sees when she looks at me. I certainly don't see anything special in the mirror myself. If you want a compliment, go ask your blushing bride, Jonas said with a smirk. I'm not falling for that easy of a ploy. I wasn't asking, Twist began, perhaps a little too fervently. Yeah, Jonas droned. More rum? Twist gave a heavy sigh but shook his head. No, I rather think I should switch to water. The sun's almost up, and I think I'm going a bit silly. You're always a bit silly, Jonas said, patting Twist on the back. That's why I like you. I thought you weren't going to compliment me. Twist snapped back at him. Damn, Jonas grumbled, looking suspiciously at his own glass. Maybe I'm going a bit silly too. Wonderful help we're going to be in battle, Twist grumbled. Oh, it's only... Jonas paused as he reached into Twist's waistcoat pocket and pulled out Twist's watch. Twist was too startled by this treatment to comment, while Jonas read his watch. See? Jonas said, turning it for Twist to read as well. It's only 5. We got a few hours yet to sober up before we have to head to battle anyway. Before we have to battle anyone. Jonas put Twist's watch back into his waistcoat pocket without another word. Do you mind? Twist blurted out belatedly. What? Jonas asked, confused. Keep your hands out of my pockets, Twist said, crossing his arms protectively. That was just bloody strange. I don't have my own watch, Jonas whined in defense. You can remedy that very easily, you know. But you got a watch, Jonas said with a shrug. Why would I need my own? Twist narrowed his eyes at him. You're a rather odd person, do you know that? All too well, Jonas said on a sigh. Then he smiled back at Twist with happy cobalt blue eyes. And that's why you like me. Twist laughed and shook his head. Right, that's it, he said, getting carefully to his feet. He was pleased that his legs were still steady and that the room didn't spin too much. I've had quite enough of you, you damn silly brigand. I'm going to go sober up. Fine, give up, you dandy, Jonas said with no true malice at all. Twist turned back to see Jonas lying back on the floor, staring lazily out the large square window at the lightning sky outside. Dipping his attention into the buzzing at his neck, Twist found peace and quiet warmth where all of the tension had been before. His job done, Twist left his friend and headed for the kitchen in search of coffee. Here we are going to take a chapter break. I will admit it's a little unfortunate tonight that I do not know how people feel about that reading, but it was not my best performance in my opinion. Unfortunately, this may be a bit of a shorter reading stream than I originally intended. As I was reading, I realized that the words felt a little more blurry than normal. And I'm pretty sure I lost some of the voices for Jonas and Twist, which honestly are some of the easiest voices for me to do. But we will continue to do our best nevertheless. Let's see how our tea is doing. That is still good tea. And Momo is still in the room. I am shocked. A little background to the cat Momo, who is in the room with me right now. We are certain that Momo has ADHD. She has what we affectionately call cat ADHD. She is an adorable little troublemaker who does not like to have doors closed. For the longest time, it was very difficult to be in a room with her and the door closed. She absolutely did not like doors, being in a room with the door closed. She has been peacefully sleeping in the room on the cat tree for over 30 minutes with the door closed in this room. I love you, Momo. I don't know if she can hear me, but she is a wonderful cat, even if she is a troublemaker. Erudite asks, were you drinking rum too? Honestly, I have not been drinking rum, but as I mentioned, I am still recovering a bit from whatever I picked up 2 days ago. And in truth, I am looking forward to eating again, eating something a bit more substantial sooner than later. But as I said before, we will continue to do our best. Let's take a look here. We are going to start going into our next chapter because honestly, I believe I owe everyone at least 3 chapters for a reading stream. So that is what the goal is for tonight. As always, I do thank you all for joining this reading stream and the support that you give these channels. I hope that you are enjoying the story as well as the reading of the story, even if I think I could do a better job. But we do the best we can. So with that, let's go back into the story. Twist found Mira, Kima, and Pamut in the kitchen together while the early morning light poured in through the wide windows. Mira eagerly set to making coffee the instant Twist mentioned he was going to have a cup. Twist sat at the table, as he was told, and watched as Kima returned her attention to her son. "And how do you say thank you?" she asked him. Pumut gave a sigh and frowned into space before a string of awkward and stilted syllables left his mouth. Kima nodded and repeated the same words, only far more fluidly. "Yes, that's right," she said. "And how do you introduce yourself?" "Mom, I really don't want to say my name all the time," Pumut whined back at her. "It's dangerous." "Our people don't use magic like that," Kima replied. "It's safe to say your name to them." "Yeah, but what if someone overhears?" Pumut protested. "We're wearing charms," Kima answered with a shrug. "Fey ones, yes, but what if a Kitsune hears me? Or a goblin? Or a wind spirit?" "There's nothing like that in our village," Kima said, sounding tired. "There's only human beings. Now come on. You've got to at least be able to introduce yourself to your family. Now, how do you say it? We just went over it." "I don't remember," Pamut muttered, arms crossed and his gaze pointed elsewhere. Kima said, her tone warning, but still gentle. "Be a good boy." "I don't want to be a good boy," Pamut snapped back at her suddenly, looking aghast. "Good little boys are stupid and weak and only do what they're told." "What?" Kima asked, confusion clear on her face. "Stay in their houses and never walk through the woods," Pumut went on, grumbling. "Good little boys are soft. I won't be like that. I'm not like that. I ran away from my master. I'm going to be a pirate when I grow up." "A pirate?" Kima asked, frowning. Pamut, a pirate, is a criminal. They attack ships and steal from people. Pirates are strong and brave and free, Pamut countered with new pride. They're not good little boys. They don't do what they're told. They do whatever they want. Kima dropped her head into her hand, looking frustrated and exhausted. You got that idea from Jonas, didn't you? No, I figured it out on my own, Pamut snapped back. I don't just think whatever people tell me to. I'm not a goblin. Here you are, darling, Mira said softly, appearing at Twist's side with the cup of coffee. Twist took it and thanked her quietly, suddenly realizing that he didn't really want to bear witness to this spat between Kima and Pamut. While the two of them continued to debate the merits of good and evil, Kima growing more exhausted and Pamut more defiant, Twist got to his feet and took his coffee out of the room. He wasn't at all surprised when Mira followed him out onto the deck. Poor Kima, Mira muttered once the door was shut behind them. Pamut has been acting up a lot more recently. Really? Twist asked her as he found a seat on a crate to one side of the deck. I haven't noticed that. She said he stays quiet when there are people around, Mira said with a shrug, sitting on another crate beside him. But when he's alone with her, it's different. Twist looked at her curiously, unsure how she would know something like that. Kima talks to me sometimes, Mira explained, guessing at his unspoken question. When she gets tired, you know. I don't think she means to complain. It's just difficult. And she needs to talk to someone. You know, her husband was always the one who stayed home with Storm when Kima spent most of her time away hunting. Oh, Twist replied, finding this information unfamiliar but reasonable given his experience. Oh, yes, Kima went on with a somber nod. Of course, once her husband was killed, Kima was forced to care for Storm all by herself. That must have been very difficult for her. Even now that she has her real son with her, she still seems uncomfortable with the job of parenting. Not that I'd be any better if I were in her place, she added quickly. Twist shook his head. I can't imagine what it must be like to raise a child, let alone one that grew up in a different world, with different ideas on everything. I just wish she'd talk to Jonas about it. Jonas? Twist echoed, startled. Mira looked to Twist and nodded. Well, yes. He gets on with Pama wonderfully. Actually, that's one of the things that bothers Kima. But I don't see why it should. Jonas might be impetuous, but he's a good man. I just think he might be able to help her with Hamut, or at least help her to understand him. It's clear as day that the boy admires Jonas. Oh, yes, that's very clear, Twist agreed. It was also perfectly clear to Twist that Jonas seemed to honestly care for the boy as well. He was already far more kind to him than he'd ever been to Storm. Well, he said to Mira, I'm sure Kima will work it out. I hope so, Mira agreed. How's the coffee, dear? Lovely, as always, Twist replied. As the golden light of the new day grew steadily warmer under the glass canopy, Twist heard an unusual sound and turned to find a pair of foxes chasing each other around in circles at the far end of the deck. The rusty gray one, Rafe, Twist assumed, leaped suddenly and pounced on Vane, sending the two of them tumbling, but Vane recovered swiftly and turned the chase on Rafe. Mira giggled, watching them play. Twist shook his head again. There we go. Here we're going to take perhaps the final break of the evening, but I do again want to thank you all for joining this reading stream and bearing with this reading stream today. It was a stream with only, well, now 2 Saturdays left in the year. It was a stream that I did not want to cancel. That is still good. Now, I know what you're all thinking, or not thinking, but I'm going to pretend that you're all thinking this. Taka, what kind of tea are you drinking tonight? Well, I believe I'm actually coming down to the last bit I have of this tea, but it is the Clockmaker tea. And for long-time listeners of the reading stream, you'll know that this tea is comprised of roasted green tea, regular green tea, orange peel, black tea, puree tea, rose petal, and pine smoke. And I can read your minds. You're saying, Taka, I think I know where this is going, but just to be sure, where, oh, where on this green blue planet can I find, and white as well because we have clouds, but where on this beautiful marble in the void of space can I find such delicious tea that you drink on the reading stream? Well, dear listener, allow me the opportunity to tell you about a place that is rather magical, a place that will tickle your taste buds, a place that does not pay me to do this, called Friday Afternoon, the tea shop in Seattle, Washington. That is right, it is time for not sponsored. Not sponsored sponsorship, but we're going to pretend it's a sponsorship, even though it's not a sponsorship because they don't pay me, but we're going to say it's a sponsorship. I hope they never find out. Non-sponsorship. Friday Afternoon, the tea shop in Seattle, Washington. If you go to the website www.fridaytea.com, you will find a wide variety of teas that I know will tickle your fancy. Today, I want to tell you about the Rocket Man tea. It is part of the winter rotation. That's the word I'm looking for. The winter fandom rotation at that, which means it is available from now until March 3rd. And as we all know, March 3rd is when the flowers begin to pop out of the ground and say, "We're here." You can now take off your heavy coats, depending where you live. Now, this blend is part of the Queer Rock Gods collection, and honestly, it's very sparkly, so it makes sense. But inspired by the rhinestone-studded piano thumping piano icon himself, that is what it says. Rocket Man is a glitzy glam glass of glittery gold oolong brew, featuring jammy persimmon and lush cacao, offset by a spicy sweet ginger. This tasty tribute won't go breaking your heart, no siree. Ingredients: oolong tea, cacao nib, persimmon, ginger, and gold luster dust. Now, for some people who may be thinking, wait, am I actually drinking gold? No, no, no. This isn't Kyoto, Japan. This gold luster dust contains mica, titanium dioxide, or E171, yellow number 5 and 6 lake, rice extract, red number 3, and blue 1 lake. And this tea has 4.5 out of 5 stars. We got 2 reviews here. And the first review I see is from April of 2024, 5 stars, and it reads, "It's tasty. The sparkles are fun, and I love honoring Sir Elton John." From February of 2023 is a 4 stars, "A fun twist on green oolong. The base oolong reminds me of Tai Guan Yin." I do not know if I pronounced that correctly. That is not a language I speak fluently. And the persimmon adds a subtle and nice fruitiness, though I sort of wish it came through just a little stronger somehow, as in trying to resist the inclination to pick at the persimmon pieces and deprive future brews of it. Otherwise, I think it would be a great introductory blend to folks who are initially biased toward East Asian non-blends. And there you have it. Again, this tea called the Rocket Man is available until March 3rd. So if anything I read sounded very delicious, or if you're just a big Elton John fan, consider picking up a packet of the Rocket Man tea. And again, you could find this tea on www.fridaytea.com. Again, The website is www.fridayliketheday.com. And again, they do not pay me to do this. They do not bribe me to do this. They do not threaten me to do this either. They do not give me favors that I do not want to talk about to do this either, because we are a family-ish friendly stream. Instead, I just enjoy their teas. In fact, I should be having a batch coming in pretty soon. What did I order? Let's find out. What teas did I order recently? It's been a while since I put them in. I know they're delicious. I'm actually checking my email here. I want to say, I bet Anansi's Web is one of them. Anansi's Web, if you do not know, is one of my favorite teas. It gives the Fairy Queen a run for her money. Let's see here. Order confirmed is this one. The teas I ordered. Oh, okay, so Anansi's Web is one of the teas that I ordered. And caramel apple. Oh, that sounds like it's going to be absolutely delicious. I do not know if it'll be criminally delicious like the Fairy Queen, but I am looking forward to that caramel apple and, of course, Anansi's Web, because Anansi's Web, something about a spicy tea is really, really nice, in my opinion. So again, give Friday afternoon tea, a try. And remember, I am not paid to do this. As far as I know, they do not know I still do this. But their teas are fun. I like them. Erudite wrote, the Prince tea was really good. It's actually purple and very sparkly. Well, let's find out. Is the Prince tea still available? Let's find out. Because if so, that could be a very interesting combination. Let's see if you see Tuxedo Prince, Wedding Princess, Tea Princess Choice, Stardust, Purple Blend, Mercury. Oh, there's a few of them. So, but you said the tea was purple. So we're going to try the Purple Blend one. See, this is a tribute to the man himself. It looks like it. It's part of the Queer Rock Gods collection. Yes. So, if you want to try the Prince-inspired tea, it is called Purple Blend. Also part of the Queer Rock Gods collection, and it is available until March 3rd. Inspired by one of the greatest rock legends of all time, Prince. This blend of Kenyan purple tea is lush with dragon fruit and passion flower. Tart lime peel, smooth vanilla, and a pop of purple luster dust helps this glitter and glam tea blow your mind. Ingredients: purple tea, it literally says purple tea, dragon fruits, lime peel, blue pea flower, oh, that explains the purple as well, passion flower, natural vanilla flavoring, and purple luster dust. The dust contains, well, it's not actual dust, but it contains mica, titanium oxide, red number 3, rice extract, red 40 lake, and blue 1 lake. So if you want your teas to rock out, consider the Rocket Man and, oh my, it was purple? It was purple blend. There we go. Wow, it was that easy. Purple blend and the Rocket Man teas. In fact, I would put them in chat. There we are. Honestly, that sounds like it could be a fantastic combination. In fact, I'm going to take a little bit more tea myself, and then we will prepare to go into the final chapter of the evening. As I continue to remember that I have to control some things for this stream now. I am still somewhat getting used to the new layouts and functionalities of the reading stream. Personally, I'm very happy with the little ticker at the bottom and the placards that come in and out. I am rather happy with it. But that is stories for another time. So, we're going to go into our final chapter of the evening, and I forgot to read this actually, from Black Rose, who laughed out loud, very out loud, at I wanna be a pirate! There we are, just for you. Although I did run out of breath reading Mira's lines, the most difficult person to do lines for in this reading stream is Mira. Hands down, no one else is as difficult as Mira's voice, because that is not my natural range at all. And so with that, let's go into our final chapter of the evening. Mira served a light meal of sandwiches, scones, and orange pickle. Apologies, everyone. Pekoe. I actually do not know how to pronounce that word. Even worse, I'm not sure which language that belongs to. So we're going to double check really quick just to be sure. Pronunciation. Peko. It's Peko. Okay. Okay, now that I know how to pronounce the word, let's go back into the story. Mira served a light meal of sandwiches, scones, and orange Peko around 6 in the morning. Everyone ate together in the dining room, some standing while they nibbled at their treats when the chairs ran out. Jonas and Pumba disappeared at some point, leaving the others to politely avoid talking about the difficulties they were sure to find when they reached their destination. Twist found it odd that no one among them wanted to bring up any topics related to the battle ahead of them, but he followed the silent agreement all the same. After all, until they saw how things really were for themselves, all they could do at this point was worry. And it was so much more enjoyable to gasp over Tasha's high society gossip, or compliment Mira's cooking, or watch the two Kitsune banter playfully together about nonsense. Kima was the first to leave, wondering what had become of Jonas and Pamut. The others followed out of curiosity, and it was soon discovered that Jonas and Pamut were locked in battle in the center of the deck, as Jonas gave the boy another lesson in sword fighting. This proved a wonderful entertainment to everyone else, who each took their remaining tea and scones out onto the deck to watch the two battle each other with their makeshift wooden swords. Jonas ignored their audience, but Pamut seemed to grow more bold in his actions when he noticed his mother. Kima, however, looked troubled as she watched them battle. Twist recalled that she'd asked Jonas not to train the boy in swordplay very often, fearing that it was too violent and dangerous of a sport. Good, good, Jonas said as Pamut very nearly caught him in a swift and confident swing of his sword-length wooden stick. You're really starting to get it now. Pamut smiled at his praise. Really? Oh yeah, Jonas said as he squared himself off for another bout. Pamut faced him without hesitation, appearing remarkably at ease now with his practice. You're getting better all the time, Jonas went on, raising his own long wooden stick like a sword and falling into a ready fighting pose. Jonas lunged forward, and Pamut met his motion with a swift response. the two slipping into a conflict that looked as fluid as a dance. Twist remembered how easily frightened and nervous Pamut had been when his sword training had begun. Watching him now, Twist could hardly believe he was the same child at all. Jonas's careful attention had built a great deal of confidence in the boy. One of Pamut's swings caught Jonas on the wrist, making him wince and drop his stick. Twist winced as well, remembering what exactly such a blow felt like with a real sword. Many of the others gasped at this, but Kima grimaced, clearly ill at ease. "I'm sorry," Pamut yelped. Jonas shot him a glare, looking close but not at his eyes, as he rubbed his wrist. "Don't apologize for that," he said warningly. "I was too slow. You caught me fair and square. But I didn't mean to hurt you," Pamut muttered unhappily. Jonas's glare turned more warning, his eyes deeply blue in the illusion that Twist's sight put on them. "That's the whole point." "But not really," Pamut protested. "We're just pretending." "Oh, you think I'm pretending, do you?" Jonas growled, his smile fighting to free itself as he continued to glare. Pamut watched him carefully, as if trying to work out whether he was actually in trouble or not, but Jonas suddenly rushed at the boy unarmed, his stick still lying on the deck. Kima gasped. Startled, Pamut dropped his own stick and backed away, but in his confusion, he paused before turning to run. This pause was all Jonas needed as he caught the boy around the waist and tossed them both tumbling to the deck. "I'll show you pretending," Jonas growled, as a bright, full laugh erupted from Pamut. Twist watched, bewildered as they struggled, Pamut trying to free himself and Jonas apparently trying to tickle him and hold him at the same time. Most of the other spectators laughed as well, clearly enjoying the show. Kima only looked relieved after the moment of fright when Jonas had rushed Pamut. A heady, excited wave of joy rippled through the buzzing at Twist's neck, expressing Jonas's own delight. Pamut managed to free himself and scrambled away, breathing hard, but a wide smile now covered his face. "What do you do that for?" Wrong person. "What do you do that for?" he demanded, straightening his clothes. "Punishment for pretending," Jonas answered, getting to his feet now too. He snatched up their discarded weapons and stepped closer to Pamut, offering him one of them. "If you keep pretending, you're never going to get ready for a real fight. If you find yourself facing a cipher in a village today, he's not going to hold back." Pamut listened as he took the offered stick, and Twist thought he saw the boy stand taller at the mention of joining the mission and being expected to defend himself like any other. Jonas wasn't speaking to him like a child, but like an ally, a peer, an adult. And Pamut was rising to the challenge, eager to be worthy of Jonas's confidence in him. Twist marveled at how skillfully Jonas was continuing to guide the boy closer to manhood. "What?" Kima's voice snapped, as hard and sharp as a whip crack. Everyone looked to her, clearly startled. "He is not going into battle," she growled, advancing on Jonas. "I thought I made that clear." "But Mom!" Pamut began to whine. "That's enough," Kima said, her voice razor edge. "No more training," she said, turning her dangerous gaze on Jonas. "Who the hell fights with a sword anymore anyway? Chess is bad enough. Stop teaching my son to be violent." Pamut looked utterly dismayed by this declaration, but Jonas's fright flashed through the buzzing at Twist's neck like a lightning strike. Jonas held his ground as she came close enough to throw a punch at him. She glared directly at Jonas, no longer guarding her gaze from his, and forcing him to look away. "Kima, calm down," he said, dropping the stick to hold out his hands in surrender. "You're talking about taking my son into battle, and you want me to calm down?" Kima snapped back. "Come on, Mom," Pamut tried again. "I want to help. Why can't I go with you?" "Because you're a child," Kima said to him, her voice still sharp enough to slice skin. She held Jonas under her glare like a bug under a pin. How dare you even suggest he risk his life? She asked of Jonas, pain and fear making her voice quake. Jonas's eyes struggled to find a safe place to focus, while Twist felt a fresh wave of confusion and fear bubble through the buzzing at his neck. I'm not a baby, Pumbaa snapped suddenly, drawing Kima's attention before Jonas could form a reply. I was fighting for my life when I was barely old enough to walk. I can do this. I'm not afraid, and I don't want help, and I want to help. I don't want to hear how dangerous your life was in Fairy, Kima said, her tone softening slightly closer to miserable. That's all over now. I can protect you now. You're just like the Fae, Pumbaa shouted. You always tell me what to do, and you never listen to me. Jonas listens to me. He never tells me to shut up or be good. A fresh wave of terror rushed through the buzzing in Twist's neck, and Jonas's face showed it clearly as Kima turned to glare back at him, even more hateful than before. Listen, let's just all calm down and talk about this, Jonas cautioned. And don't talk to your mother like that, Jonas added sternly to Pumbaa. True sober anger washed over Pumbaa's face, and tears welled up in his eyes. I wish she wasn't my mother. I wish I was your son and not hers. Kima stared at her son in shock and anguish, her breathing suddenly shallow. Twist's own surprise at the boy's declaration was doubled by the cold terror he felt in the buzzing at his neck. Tasha and Mira both stared in equal dismay. You take that back this instant, Jonas ordered, his voice low, cold, and threatening. Stop telling him what to do, Kima yelled at Jonas, making him jerk in response. He's not your son. He's no concern of yours at all. I don't care if you're the captain. He's not your crew. You don't get to order my son to his death. I would never bring dead weight into a fight, Jonas replied, his voice stronger now and edged with his own anger. Maybe you can't see it, but he's not a baby. How do you expect him to ever become a man if no one lets him learn to stand on his own? No wonder he just said what he did, he added with a bitter grin. All I'm doing is having a bit of faith in him. Maybe you should try it. Twist saw Jonas's offense at Kima's words raging like a fire within him, budding in Jonas's judgment. His instincts shouted at him to stop Jonas from following this dangerous line of reasoning, and he jumped to his feet. Who the hell do you think you are? Kima shouted back at Jonas before Twist could come up with anything useful to say, her hands balled into fists and her form ready for violence. He is my blood, not yours, no matter how much he likes you. It's not your job to raise him. It's mine. Mine alone. Jonas nearly shouted back, but then stilled and fell utterly silent and cold in an instant, the fire in him going out like a candle of confusion flashed across his face. Twist watched his eyes go dark and gray as the confusion turned to sorrow, while the buzzing in his own neck went as frigid as a cloudless night. Clearly expecting a different reaction than this as well, Kima paused. Pumbaa watched, bewildered and frightened by them both. You still think you're alone? Jonas asked softly, his voice hollow and saddened. You'd rather be. Kima stared back at him in surprise for an instant before her features hardened in a stoic and bitter mask. She seemed to rally a reply, but Jonas spoke first. You're right, he said, taking a breath and forcing out a neutral expression. Of course. I'm sorry. I never meant to upset you, but I see I overstepped. It won't happen again. I'll be in the bridge if you need me, he added unemotionally, turning and walking away without waiting for a reply. Kima watched after him, her anger gone and her expression frightened and uncertain. Then she also turned away, heading for the crew cabins at a quick pace. Twist thought he saw tears in her eyes as she rushed past him. Pumbaa dropped into a crouch where he stood, his hands up over his head as if he wished to vanish from the world entirely, while a stunned silence rang in the air. Come on. Rafe said softly to Vane, getting to his feet. Vane followed him as Rafe walked toward Pamut and knelt beside him, reaching out to gently rub at the boy's back and mutter soothing sentiments. Vane followed suit, the two of them managing to gain Pamut's tear-stained attention. Mira stood up and looked to Twist. "I'm going to go talk to Kima," she said softly. "You should see Jonas." "Yes, of course," Twist said, nodding. That is a place to end tonight's reading stream. Oh my. I want to know what happens next, but I do not trust my reading enough to survive another chapter. And Momo has been here the entire time. She is now grooming herself. Nevertheless, everyone, thank you for joining tonight's reading stream. I know the reading was a little rough, but I do hope that you enjoyed the reading as well as the story that was read. And as always, I do appreciate all the support that these channels receive, whether they're live listens or you're listening to the VOD. If you are a follower or you just give likes, at some point on Twitch we'll be affiliates again and you can subscribe as well. So if that is also your cup of tea, either way, I do appreciate every support that this channel receives. And I believe that is all for this evening. We will be back next Saturday, if everything permits, same time, 8 o'clock Eastern, and we will continue more of Clockwork Twist, Book 11, Faith, by Emily Thompson. With that, everyone, have a good day, a good evening, a good week. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be safe, and see you next time. Until then, bye-bye.